What if changing one word could flip your perspective? What if I have to became I get to? Is it always that easy to flip the words? Yes, we can all do that. We can say it. Stepping into the I get to and choosing to look for and actively enjoy the moments is completely up to you. In this episode, we rejoin our conversation with Angie and explore the soul questions of the Mind Game podcast. We explore what happens when we are brave enough to let go of our fear of what other people think. As Angie pointed out, it doesn't matter what other people think. It's what we choose to do that defines our life. So stop waiting, stop being afraid, and decide to get out of your comfort zone. As Angie reminds us, there is strength in sharing your story, and your story gets even better when you realize you can choose to make the decisions that spark a fire within. The world is waiting for your story. Let's rejoin the conversation with Angie. Get ready. Here comes the intro. Welcome to Mind Game, a podcast to level up your life. My name is Stephanie Painshaw, and I'm excited for you to join me on a journey behind the scenes where we'll dig into the stories of resilience, mindset, and unlock the simple habits that will help you change the game. Before we dive in, I want to express our gratitude for your continued support. Your energy powers our quest to provide content that encourages you to unlock new levels of personal growth and step out of your own comfort zone. If you're inspired by an idea or have a suggestion for a future topic, connect with us at mindgamelevelupyourlife.com. Your feedback is a power-up that helps us continue on this epic adventure. So if you're ready to get out of your own way and explore what you didn't know you needed to know, you've come to the right place. So buckle up, open up your mind. It's time to level up. Let's go into when you think about the best thing that never happened. So this question came, I call it the rock question. So it came from Dwayne Johnson. He was all about football, grew up, football was everything. He was going to get drafted in the NFL. That didn't happen. He got drafted by the Calgary Stampeders and he went to camp and the Calgary Stampeders cut him. And he said, they cut me from football and I had $7 in my pocket. That's why his production companies are called $7. And he said, I had a decision to make. If life wasn't about football, what could it be about? And he said, I decided it was about wrestling. That was the family business. And he said, I changed my mind. So football, pushed him in the direction of wrestling. And his dad said, are you crazy? Calgary called again, like you should go back and play football. That's what you wanted to do. And he said, nope, made my decision. And he said it wasn't an easy journey, but he worked hard. And he said, if I hadn't been pushed away from football, then I wouldn't have ended up in wrestling. And that wouldn't have led to a career that he has now and the impact that he could have in the world. So he says that's the best thing. Football was the best thing that never happened to him. So what's a never that's happened to you that pushed you in the right direction or closer to your purpose?
I don't know if so I was married before and good guy. Like there was nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. We were young and we shouldn't have gotten married. I won't go into the detail. And we ended up separating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that was such a huge point in my life because I met my husband. While my husband and I had already knew each other, we had worked together. But it was such a big point in my life because we shouldn't have gotten married. So it did happen, but the marriage
Yep.
did not continue. So
Right.
I'm very thankful that marriage did not continue because I say it was bordering toxic. It was probably going to get we did not bring out the best in each other,
Mm-hmm.
and when I started dating my husband, it was just a whole world of difference. Like,
Yep.
when you're with somebody that they make you smile. They know they know you. So they know how to make you smile, how to treat you so that you feel good about yourself and you're not always second guessing your relationship and you're just comfortable with that person. Um, that's, that's the original marriage is what I'm glad didn't continue. Like it happened, but it didn't have to continue. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It pushed
so
you in the right direction to meet the people
and
that you
then
needed in your life,
yeah,
and had you not experienced what you had in life, you wouldn't be the after Angie instead of the before, and how you
mhm,
flipped that into that.
yeah, and I think people should just be true to themselves. Like if they're not happy, it's okay not to be happy as long as you try to either better your situation or don't be God, I'm not like don't divorce. It's not what I'm saying. I'm happily married with my husband right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
the boyfriend became the husband. But
yeah.
I just think that like if life is too short and you should really try to be happy. And if that means you don't have the right partner, if they're not the partner that supports you, they're not the partner that wants to bring you up and make you, be the best that you can be,
Yeah.
it's okay not to want to continue with that partner. So I know there's
Been
gonna
a
be
deep conversation for Monday night where you're
it's
digging
yeah,
in.
yeah,
I
but
think that's a very genuine moment that you shared, and I appreciate your honesty that not continuing was the never that pushed you in the direction that you needed to go, and that was
mhm,
one of the conversations I had with my friend Katie, because we were talking about and there's not just one never, there's often other nevers that pop up that push you in one way or push you to start the nonprofit or
mhm,
push you to be, "Okay, that one ended and I'll get a better job." I love that
right,
you're like, "I'll just get something better. Universe is pushing me to something
mhm,
better that's out there, and I just haven't found it yet." So, I think it's interesting, but she said, "Are there people out there that get to escape their purpose?" Because she said, but it seems like she's like, "Some days I'd like to not travel and do the education." She's an educational consultant, so she speaks all over the world, and she said, "Sometimes that's tiring, and I wonder if I could not do that." But she's like, "If I shift, the universe kind of pushes me back where I
mhm.
need to be," or so she said, "I wonder if people avoid those types of things? Do the can you get through life and you never get bumped in that direction?" So it's interesting that you pull together so many different parts of the story. So, I think my other question is, when you look back on your younger self, so teenager or young adult, early 20s, and this one comes from, I'm a mom, my daughter is now 15, she got her learner's license, so that's a whole other experience. Life goes it seems like it's slow in the moment, like forever you're watching Peppa Pig or Princesses, or you're into this whatever phase of
Mhm,
growing up. The privilege to hit all of those different phases. I think
exactly.
that's the perspective, right? I came across a quote one time and said, "We don't have to, we get to." If you can
Yeah,
flip that and we get to go to work, we get to drive our child from one extracurricular to another activity, we get to listen to another princess time through whatever movie, that we get in those loops. But I always think as parents raising young children, what would we have said to ourselves that kind of gives us some perspective now? So is there anything that you would say to your younger self?
so yes, I mean, so many things, but I think the biggest thing was that I was always nervous that what are people gonna think? What if I make a mistake? What
Mhm.
if they laugh at me? What if they never forget that I made a mistake? And I would harbor these thoughts to the point where, okay, I'm just not gonna raise my hand. It could be anything. It could be, I'm not gonna raise my hand and say the answer. What happens if it's wrong? It was always right. Okay,
Yeah,
but I didn't do
I
it.
have n
No. I'm like, why didn't you just say it? Or,
Yeah.
you know, uh, just anything, even actually it's soccer all my life. Like, why was I the lazy soccer player? I was always the lazy one. I ran really quick.
Mhm.
I was defense. Because I didn't want to run in the front. I was lazy. I gave myself half of what I was capable of. So, what I would say to my younger self is one, nobody cares what you're wearing. Nobody cares how much you weigh. Nobody cares. They won't remember what you said. Just do it. Does it make you happy? Just
Yeah.
do it.
Yep.
And the second thing I would say is, and if you're gonna do it right. Don't 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 go halfway and then be like, this is good enough. My good enough was pretty good. It got me like I did well in soccer, but I
Yeah.
know that I didn't try my best. And now I'm at a point where, that ship has sailed.
You could.
So
You could still, but
Yeah, my knees are saying, "Don't you dare."
Yeah, there's other
You
messages
know?
that we get from our body.
And yeah, they're not so subliminal. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think that
they're not subliminal anymore. They're
no,
very,
no, no.
very in your
Yeah, yeah.
face now. Yes.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes, I think that's what I would tell myself. And with my son, you're absolutely right that I mean, I learned the hard way
yep.
that let him be a kid because we get to experience him being a brat. We get to experience him making mistakes. We get to experience him acting like a lunatic in the pool. We get to do all these things because there was a time where it was touch and go. So very grateful to have my little brat.
Life is about perspective and pausing in those moments when we are frustrated and
Yeah.
flipping that. And it's not always easy, and some days are a lot harder than others, but we get to. And I think you summed that up so well. It's always a good reminder for me on the podcast, whichever guest I'm talking to, there's always those moments that are like, remember, whatever is happening, there's a bigger purpose and you get to do this. You get to have those moments with your family, with your friends. So don't get so wrapped up in everything else that you miss appreciating those moments. Whether they're, like you said, things that aren't going well or that they are going well, you still get to be part of that journey. And we don't all get that opportunity to do that. I love that you said don't be afraid of other people's opinions because so much of our life and I think it applies to not only growing up as a teenager, but also as an adult. Like, I think how
Mhm.
often do I think, "Oh, I don't know if I wanna do that. I don't know if I wanna go live on social media. That might be scary. The podcast might be scary. What if people what what if it doesn't really matter?" And like you said, there's actually research. Funny that you said it. It's called FOPO, fear of other people's opinions. And they did research on it, and it turns out other people really don't pay any attention to us. We're all really caught up on ourselves. I think they did a study and they had someone, I'm pretty sure it was a Barry Manilow t-shirt, and people were this was back before I think Katie said maybe Barry Manilow's back and popular, but a band on their t-shirt that was not popular, and they felt like everybody will see me wearing this t-shirt, and they had to go into a room and they were convinced everybody was staring at their shirt. Very few people
Welcome.
even noticed what was on their shirt, and if they did, it was for a very small period of time. So FOPO is that fear of other people's opinion, and they said it's like the spotlight effect. They might look at you and
Yeah,
go, "Oh," and they'll notice it for a few seconds, and then off it goes, and
that's right.
like you said, you just need to make that decision that is it making you happy? Is it stepping you closer to the identity that you want? Because then that's what you need to do. Be who you are. 'Cause life is too short to try to be what everybody else wants. And I think that's good advice for young children growing up, for us as parents, and for just us as adults in the world, still trying to find our way because it took me 47 years to push play on a podcast and be brave enough to get out of my comfort zone and do that. So you summed it up so well. So here's the question I don't always email guests before. It's not to be sneaky, but I came across on one of my motivational talks at lunch, and they said think of yourself 20 or 30 years into the future. So, what will future Angie look back at you right now in this moment, or, where you've just transitioned jobs? What will she say to you 30 years into the future? If she could come back and say something to you now, what would she tell you?
Stop eating sugar. She'd be like, "You're still" uh, yeah,
Uh,
no, my future's
That's a good one. That's probably a good reminder for all of us as I probably have a stash of chocolate somewhere near me. I can relate.
yeah,
Uh,
no, I think, see, it's very much aligned with what I want for myself, so I think my future self will thank me for really having that sense of, "I don't care what you think," 'cause I really do have that, and I think
Yep.
she'll thank me for putting in motion the things to change the future. Because I mean, we're happy, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
there's so many dreams and aspirations, so she'll be in that lakefront cabin while
Nice.
she's talking to me. I have so many dreams about what I want in the future. So um, you have to start them. You just have to start. Be the type of person that starts things and sees them through and tries their best. And you might not get there, but that whole journey was so worth it. Like you're going to the right place. So I think she would thank me.
Well said. I think it's amazing. And I have no doubt you're going to be on that lakefront cabin. And one day I'm going to get to Montreal or the area of the cabin so that we can celebrate together. Because so many times we've talked about, and I think that's the other piece that I appreciate, Angie, is that you are excited about learning and about life and about leveling up. You are in constant pursuit of that level up. And I think what you said is it's not that we're not happy in this moment. It's that we love to learn. And as you learn more, there's new things. So you keep leveling up. And every step, if you can take that closer to where you want to go or where your future self, where you envision your future self, then that
Yeah.
makes the journey even more exciting and more amazing on that path. And you meet even more amazing people on that journey. And life really is that journey. It's not just, I talked to a functional nutritionist the other day, and she said, we don't live life to die at the end of our life the healthiest person that ever lived. She said,
Mhm.
we invest in ourselves so that we can live the life and enjoy the journey all the way through. And like you pointed out a few times, the pain of change is nothing next to that pain of regret and looking back and wishing you had done that. And I think that reminder, especially to all of us perfectionists, so I'm calling all perfectionists out there, the pursuit of progress, of moving forward, of starting, of doing it messy and just trying it because you never know what you learn until you take that first step and then you learn something and you step a little bit further. But if you stay in that comfort zone, you're gonna miss out on so many different things, and I think that's the purpose of the podcast is to connect all of the listeners out there with the absolutely amazing people that I've been fortunate enough to connect with and to help people know what's out there and what are some dreams that they might have or people they could connect with to help level up, and so I so very much appreciate you joining me on the podcast, and I think I have ideas for a whole bunch more podcasts, books for sure. How do we read through that and keep life going. But I always appreciate how you're always looking for that next level up and learning. And it inspires me to get out of my comfort zone to push play on the podcast. And I'm not sure if I actually ever told you that when we were talking about how much you inspire me. And I would come out of a conversation with Angie on a Monday night because we used to have Monday night meetings and then we would stay on and talk. But that was one of the best nights of my week. I'd be like, somebody's excited about my goals. And we were brainstorming podcast names and looking them up on
I love your name.
ChatGPT. And it was a little edgy. I thought Mind Game was maybe a little bit edgy, but it turns out Level Up Your Life is really what I'm in pursuit of is how do we help people and inspire? Like when you said, how do you use your story to inspire? That's the purpose of the Mind Game podcast is to level up. And the level up is all about what's up here because the mind game of trying to push play, there were so many things I thought maybe it's not ready. I shouldn't do that. But no matter what you do, there's always the conversation that you have with yourself. And if you
Yeah.
can push through that and level up and learn the habits to do that, and I think that helps. But it came from ideas that we brainstormed and conversations that we
It's a
had.
good
And
night.
they were some of my favorite nights. So, before we wrap things up, is there anything else that comes to mind, or is there a question that somebody's never asked you that you really wished that someone would ask?
I get okay, I get asked this question a lot, and
Mhm.
I feel like I've never had an intelligent answer for it, and then I thought to myself, I have an answer for it. So, I do a
Yep.
lot of things simultaneously, and I know it's very nice of you to insinuate that it's my time management skills. I don't know how much it's time management or it's really if you don't have time for something, you're not making it a priority. So
Mhm.
prioritize reading because I love it and I know how it makes me feel afterwards. And just reading the words, like I feel my vocabulary is better right after I read a book.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but then I thought, I'm like, is it true? Absolutely, because I'm a horrible cook. So I don't like to cook. So while I'm reading my book, my husband cooks because I don't
Thank you.
prioritize it, you know? So it's more about prioritizing what's important to you
Mhm.
versus, I mean, time management is obviously important, but I think like I do a lot of things because I also enjoy them. So it's not about being busy as it is about being busy and enjoying what you're doing. You'll never feel busy.
Well said. A life well lived doing what you love to do will bring you more joy and you'll never work a day in your life, I think is how that saying goes, and I think you summed it up well. If it's a priority, you will find the time, you will make the time, you will get it done because it matters to you,
Mhm.
and choosing things that matter to you will make life that much better. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to have you back on future episodes. I'm just super excited for what we can talk about in the future. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you to Angie for joining me on the podcast. I appreciate the positive energy, thoughtful perspective, the love of learning, and the level up that comes with stepping through each life experience. Here's the ideas that Angie shared that resonated with me. Life is full of ups and downs. Remember, you can always choose how you respond. The journey through life and the decisions we make are part of our story, but each day is a new opportunity to choose a path towards your future self. And remember what Angie said, what other people think of you is none of your business. We are far more interested in ourselves than other people. So choose to be brave and run at the front of the pack, to try something new. Remember, others can't benefit from your knowledge if you keep it locked up inside because you're afraid of what others might think. Choose to put into motion the things your future self will thank you for. Consider, as Angie said, if not always the time management piece, it's what you make a priority. Align your actions with what brings you joy and decide to take action, whether it's pursuing your dreams, embracing change, or making time to look after you. Remember, the power to create positive change lies within you. So start by looking for the moments that make you smile and seize the opportunities that come your way. Be sure to check out the show notes to learn more about Brandon's buddies, sites and socials, and connect with Angie. Thanks for listening. Here's your Mind Game Episode 18 challenge. Share this episode and choose to look for the moments that make you smile. Then pause to appreciate the moment when it happens. Hashtag it, level up your life. Thank you for choosing to listen to Mind Game, a podcast to level up your life. We hope that you've enjoyed the insights, inspiration, and habits shared in this episode. Your support is a game changer, and we are incredibly grateful to be on this journey with such an amazing community of listeners. If you have any wonders, questions, or suggestions about this or future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media and share your feedback. Remember, you can catch all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps us bring valuable content to you, our listeners. Don't want to miss the next episode? Join our Facebook group and email list and get ahead of the game. Until next time, remember to mind the game so that you can get out of your own way and level up your life.